Good evening, everyone. Who is online?
Good evening.
Uh, uh, can you mute your mic? The noise is too much.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. Let's just wait for 1 or 2 minutes, then we can start the classes. Today I will complete this equation. I will look at simultaneous equation. Some people will call it two equations in two unknowns, or some people call it system of equations. There are 2 or 3 different names. So we'll look at it and finish it. Next class, we looked at functions, where we will maybe from there we looked at differentiation or derivatives. Is there any comment or anything somebody want to share with the class? And in next 1 minute we will start. We cannot wait for everyone. 5:30, 5:30. Looking at we have constraint. Lecturing through this online platform is difficult. By now we're supposed to even cover functions, but it is what it is. We can't do much about it. Anyone who wants to comment, share anything, go ahead. In next 1 minute we will start the class.
Yeah, Alvazani.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Hey. Yeah, I was suggesting if you can have the notes on reading. The video is good, but also if you can have the notes on reading, it also helps.
Please, can you mute your mic? I don't know with the noise. If we are not talking, mute your mic. And if there's a kid where you are, please, if you are taking this online lecture, you're supposed to be in a place whereby there is no noise, so that if you want to talk, you won't disturb the class, please. Someone was suggesting something. What was the suggestion?
I was saying if you can have the notes on reading, like the documents.
Actually, I see everything that I have been doing, lecturing, the videos is coming from the material I share with you.
Yeah, we have seen the materials. We have seen the notes through YouTube. I don't know some minutes ago before we start.
Okay, so what notes are you suggesting?
Like the book itself that you can use to read.
The book? You said the book.
Yeah, the materials like the pamphlet. If there's any material that you can use to read, other than the videos.
Yes, I shared the materials with you. There's 18 page whereby it talks about all the equations. I don't know whether you have seen it.
Yeah, let me just check then. Maybe I did not see other notes.
You don't receive any material so far? Yes.
Sorry?
I said, haven't you received any material? I shared 18-page material on WhatsApp. Okay, let me share. I will share material now. Okay, go on. I'm hearing.
Yeah, you've sent the material. You got it. You should check in the group.
Let me share it here also, but it was shared before. I did many times actually.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share it also so that he can get it. Then we had the lectures. Today we will close this chapter of solving equations. Okay, the one asking for the material, so you can download it from here. It will be there also in the WhatsApp. All right. So please, you can. I'm starting the lectures, the noise, and you can mute your mic so that we can have a free flow of information, and we'll have also a very good recording as well. All right. So today we will be looking at a simultaneous equation. Some people call it linear systems of equation. The material I gave to you, if you check it, let me try to. All right, so let's continue. Today we'll be looking at two equations. Two equations in two unknowns. And sometimes they call these simultaneous equations. And sometimes some people will call it a system of equations. So people call them different names. System of equation. So we will look at this equation, their nature, and how can we solve them. And by solving an equation, as you could remember, is to find the variable. So, but the takeaway here is that we will be looking at what two equations. One, we will be looking at two equations. Two equations, and these two equations, they will be what? Linear. So sometimes that they will even say linear system of equations. So the two equations will be linear. And the third, the unknowns there, or the variables that will be there, will be what? Two variables. The variables there will be two variables, and these variables will be or x and y for this course. You can write down your name and your student number at the chat box for attendance purpose. So this is what we will be looking at today. And if time permits us, we will look at a lot of application of equations in business and in business world, in economics and other social sciences. So today the goal is to finish this looking at equation. After we finish it, then we look at some of the application in real world, that is in business world, economics and social sciences. So let's go on and look at this. So normally, if a system of equation or simultaneous equation, it will be represented by this ax, the general form, plus by equals to c. Then we have what? The dx plus ey equals to f. So here we have two equations. Let's call this first equation, and let's call this second equation. So if you looked at this, this is in a general form. So this is general form of simultaneous equation, or two equations in two unknowns. So we have the general is in the general form. So what you need to know here, we have two equations. This is the first one, and this is the second one. And the variables or the unknowns there are what? Are the x and y. So these are the variables, x, the x and the y's. So if you looked at it also, it's linear because the power here is 1, the power here is 1, the power here is 1, is 1. So that's why sometimes they will call this linear system of equation. The power there is 1, linear system of equation, as we noted before, linear system of equation. But let's look at a more specific form of simultaneous equation and see. For example, let's have this 8x plus 12y equals to 72. Equals to 72. Then we have 9x minus 12y equals to minus 21. So we have this kind of equation. So this is a specific form. So here you realize that the a is nothing but what is the 8. This 8. So the b here is nothing but what? 12. And the c there is what? Nothing but 72. So you will see that the d there is what? Is 9. And the e there is what? Minus 12. And the f there is what? The f there equals to minus 21. So, but these are our what? Our variables. They remain constant, irrespective of, because this is a general form and this is a specific form. The noise from you people is a lot. Please, let's try to mute our mics. So we have this is key. So the question now is, how can we solve this equation? How can we solve this equation? So there is a formula that we can use. There is a formula that we can use to solve this. And the formula is very straightforward. I will give you the formula, but as I said, this is not high school. We need to know how those formulas came about. So the formula is very simple, because to solve this equation, what it means is to find x, the value of x, and what? The value of y. So there is this formula that is given to us that we can use. I will give you the formula, but it's not enough to memorize it. We need to know how to derive this formula. So the formula is very simple. If we want to calculate the value of x, what we need to do is to know, we should know what is C, CE. We know CE. We multiply C times E. Then B times F all over AE minus BD. If we want to find Y, that one also is simple. All what we need to know is to use this formula. Don't worry, we will do some drills how this formula came about. Memorizing them is not enough. All over A multiplied by E minus BD. So obviously, we know this formula now. But what are the conditions that must be met for us to use this formula? Is important. If you look at the value of x and y, these are functions. So, and we know that when you have a function, denominator cannot be 0. So the condition that is attached here is that AE minus BD should not be equals to 0 for you to use this formula. So if you looked at here, our CE, like for example, let's try to take one. I'm sure that some of you have known, using elimination or substitution, you will see it. But this formula came as a result of what? Elimination methods of solving simultaneous equation. It's nothing but just an elimination method. So this formula came as a result of, you can even call it elimination method. Because once you follow the steps of elimination, you will arrive at this. So this first one, let's call this formula, let's call it elimination method of solving simultaneous equation, or two equations in two unknowns, which are x and y. So now let's use this formula and try to solve one example, which is this. For example, let's take an example 1. Let's say solve the equation so what's the equation? We even have it already. It's 8x. So after we finish this simultaneous equation, we will close the chapter of solving this equation. But before that, before we move to functions, we will look at some of the real life applications in economics and businesses, so that you will appreciate the importance of mathematics, or we will appreciate the importance of equation. They are not just numbers, they tell stories. So we will look at some of those stories. So we have 9x minus 12 y equals to minus 21. So we have this equation, and they said solve it. So whenever you hear solve it, what we are interested is to know the numerical value of x and y, if possible. So this is what we want to know, what is x and y. So we know our formula. We can use elimination method by taking its formula, and which is x equals to CE minus BF all over AE minus BD, and we know y is what? Y equals to BD AE minus BD AF minus CD. So all what we need to know, we just need to know what is CE, A, B, C, D, E, F within these two equation. If you checked it, the highest power here is 1, it's 1, 1. So there is two linear equations that they bring together. And two linear equations, when you bring them together, you form a simultaneous equation. So now we need to know what is our A. So our A here is the 8. We need to know what is B. B is our 12. We need to know what is our C. Our C is 72. We need to know what is our E. Our E is what? 9. Okay, a D. I skipped D. Sorry, let's call this D. Let me erase it, please, for clarity purpose. Okay, our D is 9. This is 9. Right. This is 9. Our E is minus 12. So this A is this one, this 8. B is this. C is this one, 72. C is 72. D is this 9. E is this minus 12. And D is this 9. E is this minus 12. Then F is minus 21. So we have this. So all what we need to do is to go and substitute here to have X. So X will be equals to CE. That is C times E. So what is our C? Our C is 72 times E. What is our E? Is minus 12 minus, I'm using this formula, B. What is B? B is 12 times what? B times F. F is what? Minus 21 over A times E. 8 is 8. What is E? E is what? Minus 12 minus, what about our B? B is 12. And then D is 9. So you multiply this, you will have what? This will give you 864. That is the first one. 864 minus 864. Then this will give you plus 252 this minus times minus, it will give you plus. So this times this will give you 252 over this times this, it will be minus 96. Then minus 108. So at the end of the day, we have minus 612 minus 612 over minus 204. And this will give us what?
Sorry, Mr. Ture.
Yes?
Sorry, why is it plus?
Where?
Minus 86.
This one.
Yes.
Because there is a minus here.
Yes, but in the middle, I think the formula should be a minus.
No, minus this minus times this minus.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay? I'm not hearing you.
I said yes.
Oh, okay, all right. So let's continue. So it's this minus here that we multiply, this one and this one. Minus times minus will give you plus. Okay. So minus 864 plus 252 will give you, of course, you will subtract and take the sign of the bigger number, high school algebra. So we will have this as 204. This one is 204, please. Then x will be 3. So at the end of the day, we have solved for our x is equals to 3. So we are going to do similar thing for y. So we will do that in the next slide. And let's go. So we said y is what? AF minus CD over AE minus BD. And we know that equivalently we can state this, that the y it will be in bracket. Our A is 8, I guess. Let me go back. Yeah, is 8 times 21 minus C times D, which will give us 72 times 9 all over AE. So it, because if you check this one and what you have for x, they are the same. So meaning that the denominator here also will be minus 204. To save time, you can do that. So we repeat it as well. So we will have something like minus 96 minus 108. So at the end of the day, we will have something like this times this. It will give us, this is 16 and 8. Okay, yeah. Minus 168 and minus 648 all over minus 204. Then we have y equals to minus 816 over 204. This is minus, then equals to 4. Then our y is equals to 4. So we solve this simultaneous equation or two equation in two unknowns or linear system of equation using this formula. So it's nice that this formula is given to us, but for me, it's not enough. We need to know how this formula came about. It's important. So how can we drive this formula? in high school, normally if you have a simultaneous equation, you have two methods to solve it. Two methods to solve it. First one is what? Elimination method. And the second method is what? Substitution. So what we just did now with those formulas, whereby we have x equals to CE minus BF all over AE minus BD, or we said y equals to AF minus BD, CD rather, all over AE minus BD. So this is nothing but the elimination method that we have seen. So this is on the elimination method. So we haven't looked at substitution yet, but it's important we know how this is derived, the derivation, how it was derived. We will look, that's the goal, we will look at it as well. So, but before that, I just want us to do substitution, or I can even give you, it's in the book, how it is derived. Let's take this as, in fact, an assignment, please. This is an assignment for you. It's in the note for the materials. I gave it to you. So know how to drive this, an assignment, please. Want to save some time. It's in the book. It's very, very simple. All what you need to do, you need to use this, the general. You use this, just multiply this by E and multiply this by minus B. Then you just do some subtraction. Then you will get this formula. If you can't, just follow the material I share with you. It's already done there. Please know it. You can't escape from it. Okay. So with the substitution, is very, very straightforward. It's very, very straightforward. And let's look at it before. So let's look at the substitution. So what we looked at is just elimination by using the formula. So substitution, the name itself is very self-explanatory. So let's say that we have two equations, 8x, two linear equations that are in two unknowns, equals to 72. Those who have seen higher mathematics, if you are going to do some higher mathematics, we can also solve this through what we call matrix algebra, but then there is no need to do that here. This is an introductory course. So we have minus 12y equals to minus 2, minus 2, 1. So with matrix algebra, it is easy because you just form a matrix like this. You have 8, 9, and 12. Hopefully, if I am taking you guys with mathematics 2, or I don't know, you might see those things. You have x and y. Then you have something like this. Those who have seen higher mathematics, maybe you have came across with this. So maybe we will see this in maths too. But for now, let's focus on the substitution method. First, the name is very self-explanatory. What we will do on the substitution method, we make x the subject of the formula for the first equation. Let's call this equation 1, and let's call this equation 2. So with substitution, let's use equation 1 and make x the subject of the formula. So to do that, it's very, very straightforward. First thing what we need to do, this is 8x plus 12y equals to 72, right? Yeah, 72. So the goal is to make x the subject of the formula. This, so we can just move this term here and we'll have what? 8x equals to 72. If this is coming here, it will change into minus 12y. So we are interested in x, not 8x. So all what we need to do is to divide everything by 8, everything by 8. So this will cancel and this will cancel. Then we will have x as what? This one, 72